How do you make vases in Grafy? Let's explore together. I do have here a preview for you so you have an idea what we're gonna get at the end. It's a node-based editor where each node either create a shape. For example, we have a cylinder and also the sphere. So basically what we do here is we have a cylinder which is simply grouped together with a cylinder so that the transition here is very smooth. Basically, it looks like a clay. It just one body transit into another is called blending or morphing. And going back, we apply a ripple operation. The ripple operation simply create the rips like here. So we could also change the amplitude of the waves and how frequent they are. And the twisting operation simply rotate the entire pattern so that we have those interesting effects on your vase. And by the end, so we have a flat ground so that our vase stands well. We add a plane at the bottom because without a plane it's just a rounded sphere. So we just cut using the plane a bit of the volume so that our vase could stand. So by the end, what can you do is that you could export this as STL and you could print things. For example, recently I made this design in Grafy. It's a motor fan, but I also exported as STL and I could now send it to my printer. And for this ways, we're gonna get this STL file. As you see, we have a flat bottom, we have our wavy, it's like a cloth pattern, which looks super original and smooth. And this is how you model vase in Grafy. So let's pose it as a challenge because recently I went to a store called Woolworth in Germany. It's also here a store called The Pot. And I found there some nice vases made out of clay mostly or a plastic that mimics the clay. And each of the vase was costing like $5 or $7. So I just simply iterate through all single vases that I see on the shelves. And so our challenge will be to try to repeat them and see how easy it is to make your own custom vases in Grafy. And so I think this one is really pretty. I think that we should start with this. Yeah, so I like this shot here. Let's go with this one. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna create a new model. So at the beginning, Grafy gives us a template, which is two spheres morphing together. It gives you immediately understanding what's the principle of modeling in Grafy. It's just using things as a clay. You can twist them and bend them and geometry just works. So let's delete this all. And so the first things I see, how would I do that? I would just have torus, or other words, donuts. So I'm going to primitive and going to create a few donuts. And we're gonna need maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 donuts. So I'm gonna do that. I could simply maybe create 1, 2, 3 donuts, or I can go and do a repetition. And I'll say that hey, I want to repeat as much donuts up with this certain offset. So let's do 4 times, 4 copies. And the offset should be equal to the radius of our torus, of the major radius, I guess. Is it? No, I think it should be like 20. Yeah. So it depends on the minor radius. Great. Maybe let's make it a bit smaller and also a radius. I don't know. Let's do 5. Yeah, like this one. Yeah, that's cool. All right, very nice. So next step I'm gonna do is I need to extrude a cylinder here at the top. So I'm gonna do this by having a cylinder which will go through our spheres. Will be a bit smaller, just like this, I guess. Maybe a bit higher. All right, so I think this is the best one. And now I'm gonna group them together so that I make a smooth transition between the torus and between the cylinders so that we have these nice and smooth edges. And now the final step is I'm just gonna do this hollow. So it's gonna be actual vase. Nice. Yep, until there. All right, this is the final result that we made. Now I'm gonna export this as STL file to see that it's totally printable model. And so this is the 3D printed model. As you see, it's perfectly rounded. It's looking very nice. So just as the original model. So I think we repeat it this way so we can go to the next one. So for the next one, we will be doing this. One of my favorite vases that I really like is you just have the simple, again, the donut, and at top is a little cylinder, and the ground is already flat, so we already know how to do that using the plane. So let's start again from scratch. We'll create a new model. I'm gonna make a torus, but I need to rotate the torus so that it stands on the ground. We do have a special operation. It's called rotate, which you simply use to rotate primitives or any other shapes. So for this exactly one, let's say a 90-degree here. Let's make it a bit more narrow, this circle here. So by increasing the minor radius, yeah, I think it's perfect. Next step will be that I add a cylinder on the top. So it's perfectly now matching the original idea, but we have a trouble. We need to smooth these edges here. So to smooth the transition between the cylinder and the donut, we just apply a group operation. But here we see the problem. The problem is that now we see a cylinder is still popping out of the donut, which is not cool. So for that reason, we're just gonna simply scale one of the side of the cylinder to make it a bit more narrow. So I'm just removing the cylinder from grouping operation and I'm adding it as an input for the scale. And here I need to find an axis to squish the cylinder. I think it's gonna be that, yeah, like this. So we still have a nice shape and form, but just it's more appealing. Let's reduce the minor radius diameter to 28. Yeah, cool. And now this is the cylinder which we can group with our donut. Absolutely great. It is gorgeous, right? So this looks like 1-to-1. We need to do still two things. First, I can reduce the smoothness. I can even more squish the cylinder so I don't see anything from the cylinder here. Now, next step, we're gonna make the flat ground. So you already know how to do that. I'm just gonna skip this part quickly to you. All right, so great. Now it's gonna stay on the ground actually. And the final operation will be to make it hollow so that we have some, yeah, some kind of volume space inside to fill in with our plants. Yeah, and I just choose, I'll set, I can play with the thickness. Yeah, I think this is a great one. And so this is the final result that I got. Now I can export this as an STL. And voila. This is our vase, which looks, I think, exactly as the original vase here. As you see, it's just a few nodes that you connect together and you create this beautiful shape. Okay, now with Grafy, you could go in further. You can get creative with the operations. For example, you could twist your entire vase to get a bit more interesting look. Yeah, that's good. So it's like, fuck being normal. We're now gonna twist the things out, you know? Everyone has this ways now, but nobody has it's a twisted variant, and you're gonna have it. So let's move to the final one. I just like this one. It's a bit more interesting shape, which is more like vintage, I don't know. But it also could be created with graphics. So let's make a stop here and we go to creative base. Right, so I started by having a cylinder and a sphere, which looks like a drop now, which I think perfectly matches the shape at the bottom. I just need to have now a beautiful top, which is a bit smaller than the bottom one. And this is the result that I made. I just added a cone, which has more radius at the top, and I just grouped it together with the bottom drop. And now we need to do the ripple operation. So we create the vase around the vase. So for that, we go here and click ripple. Let's connect it. And we got almost the same rippling shape as you see. So I think the settings are good. We now need just to limit the volume on top and the bottom. But maybe we're not going to do that. I already going to see. I'm wondering how the hollow operation going to look. Because at the top of it, you see, we need to leave a little, yeah, as you see, we need to have this flower shape at the top. And right now, you see, we have this kind of flower shape at the top, which is great, but I want to do it a bit more differently because if you look from outside, yeah, you see that we have the wavy contour around the top hull of the vase. So I want to repeat this here because right now, yeah, you see the contour, but we can do it even more. We can enhance a wavy shape of it. So let's see how. We're gonna do it just by simply changing the order of operations. So we first apply hollow on the initial vase and we then just ripple things. Yeah. So now, as you see, we actually have a much more better top. Which is much, way more wavy, looks way more interesting. Yeah, and when you smooth this out, you can get a perfect rounded, wavy surface. Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. I like it so much. Let's just correct the shape so we have the bottleneck smaller with the smaller radius. I will increase the top radius and then here maybe I just change diameter of this cylinder and yeah. So this is exactly the perfect result that I wanted to get. All right, guys, just as a final exhibition for all of our dimensions today is I added every single vase that we created to Pursa Slicer so that we see that everything you can just export and print. And yeah, I think this is much better than I expected for the video, honestly. So really gorgeous and really nice vases that you could just go and print. And as you see, we can slice the things up easy, so it just works. We can also see how great geometry was created here. And as a reminder, if you want to make those vases for yourself, or you could just also open the same vases that I created in the community, I will publish them later. So go yourself on grafy.com and try this app for free. Just try to create yourself for vases. You can use it for also engineering design as well. So I'm looking forward for your ideas, guys, and thank you for being with me.